Welcome to Hear Me Out and Pass the Scissors, a podcast where two long-distance scrapbooking friends talk creativity, chaos, and cutting things up on purpose. I'm Lisa from Life and Layouts on YouTube.
And I'm Nicole from Being. Whether you're scrapbooking at your desk, your kitchen table, or just in your head, grab your scissors and hear us out.
Okay, so hear me out. Maybe the best thing that you can do for your scrapbook stash is to start using one collection all the way through.
Whoa. Okay. That sounds inspiring, slightly threatening.
Listen, we all know that we buy a collection because we're obsessed with it for like 5 minutes.
And then use maybe 2 sheets before moving on to the next pretty thing.
Exactly. So today we're talking about creating with collections, which Nicole stumbled upon a few years ago.
And honestly, it sounds easy until you're on layout number 12, trying to figure out how to use that one paper you secretly hate.
We're talking about stretching a collection, using sketches to keep layouts fresh, figuring out when a kit is officially done,
and whether scraps are craft supplies or just emotional baggage at this point.
Plus, we're getting into busy patterns, leftover papers, how we decide what collections to buy, whether killing a kit is actually satisfying or just slightly unhinged.
Because sometimes using up your supplies feels amazing.
And sometimes it feels like survival.
So grab your scraps, your sticker sheets, and that collection you swore you'd finish.
And hear us out. All right, so Nicole is in the hot seat this week, since I was in the hot seat last week. And we're going to start out with creating with collections. I know you've talked about it on your channel, and we've probably talked about it in other podcast episodes and things like that. But I wanted to start with what is creating with collections? Like, how did it come about? Where did you get the inspiration for it? And why did you decide to continue it after that first round?
Yeah, definitely. I think we have new followers since we started the show. And I think anybody that has significantly followed us knows my series, your series, stuff like that. So I had to go do some research on my own content because I knew that this was coming. So I hope you're proud of me. I took notes. They're awful, but still. So spring,
it's a way to go.
Spring of 2020. It was simple stories. I have to go look. I can't think of it's the collection names that get me. So Happy Together. I had purchased the where it's like more than just the paper and the sticker sheet. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like the essentials collectors.
Yeah, I think it's something called so I had essential collection.
Yeah, I had that. I want to say a couple other things. And I was getting ready to work on our family photo session. And a lot of times when I work on those, I will purposely find either a sketch bundle or a class, something where I'm staying in the same kind of document and just run through it. And I did the first layout. And when I was getting ready to put it back, I was like, hold on a second. And I had been watching, I would say probably at least a year before this, there was a bunch of people that subscribed to, I don't even know if they're around anymore. It was all those kit clubs where they would take 20 different pattern papers from different manufacturers and like curate this kit that somehow made sense, and then embellishments and all this stuff, and they would send it to people. And there was a couple people who would use those kits, and I mean they would use them like down to nothing, and it was the most satisfying experience as a viewer. But it didn't make sense to my brain and my workflow, that level of mixing and matching. If I'm going to stash dive and I'm going to mix and match, it's for like a really dedicated and intentional layout. And I was like, okay, how can I experience the satisfaction in a way that makes sense to me? And so when I was getting ready to put that collection away, I was like, what if I just kept going? Like, I know from the industry standpoint of anything, you're kind of driven to buy. And I was like, how many layouts could a person potentially get out of a collection like this? And then I was like, let me see how this works. And it worked well. It worked well. It was one of those things that I personally absolutely loved because I think that the concept worked for my brain. It worked for my workflow. And it also really opened my eyes to how I buy product, how I use product, and how something that looks great on the store, I don't reach for. And so it just kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. And then one of the other things that I discovered when I was putting up those videos was people really liked them, and people really had some stuff to say where they were like, why do you think like that? And I'm like, I don't know. It's special, kind of weird.
So how many photos or layouts did you get done with that first series?
That first one was 11, which I remember thinking, man, that was a lot. I think every time I run it, it's a lot, but I think I also just know how much like time is involved in them. But each version, and I tried to take notes of each version so that you could go through it. I did start out with like a game plan. So that first one, because I had already made a layout and it was kind of born after, I stayed with those family photos, and I stayed with, I think it was a 4x6 focused SG sketch bundle. And that really worked for me. It helped me not have like the squirrel syndrome, and it really helped me decide on product. And then what I ended up doing was I finished the family photos and kind of paused. And I've done this with each one, where once I get through like the initial setup of what I intended to do with the kit, I pause, I go through all the supplies, and I start trying to figure out what's sparking in my brain, what other photos are coming up, what other events are coming up. And then I go hunting for things that make sense to my brain. I go look for sketches. Sometimes it's product driven at that point, because now I'm looking and I'm like, okay, well, I haven't used that, but I still like it. So how can I use that? And it just kind of takes off from there.
So your first collection was a Simple Stories one, and it came from your family photos. I'm assuming that you saw the collection and was like, oh, this would work for my family photos.
I choose our family photo shirt colors based on a collection I've already picked. And that's why I think I start as easily for my brain as I possibly can. So something as simple as 4x6 photos, family sessions, I know that those are going to be easy to put together layouts. And then I know that Simple Stories is one of those brands and styles that I'm probably not going to get tired of super early. So it's kind of like setting myself up for success.
Mm-hmm. And I think that I have to agree with you in regards to family sessions, because I'm assuming it's been a while since I watched your first one, but I'm assuming you've got the entire family, then you've got each one of your kids. So that's another 2 layouts, you and the husband. So 4 layouts right off the bat.
It's typically my son gets one, my daughter gets one, me with kids, my husband with the kids, us together. And then it could be anywhere between 1 and 3 of everybody together. So I'm looking at anywhere between 5 to 9 layouts, typically double pages, because it's one of those things where she sends us so many photos that I'm like,
yeah, exactly. And if you love your photographer, like I do,
yes,
and you do.
I have never not used her. I found her when Jake was 3 months old, and I've never, even when she was like, hey, I have to up my prices, I was like, I totally understand it. Like she's on her own like you now. And I was like, I get it.
Yeah. And it's the same with mine. I found her very shortly after I moved here, and when Eli moved in with me.
I even took classes through her.
Mm-hmm.
And did
to
do sessions and stuff. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. And then like Eli's 9th grade photos, which were at the end of the 9th grade, right? So his end of school photos, she always does them in the park. And she was like, I'm really trying to give you something different since I go to her so often. And I was like, it's okay. Like, let's just walk around the park and find it. And we literally found an abandoned building. And you saw those photos on Facebook this morning. They turned out so good. And it's just like down this alleyway off of the park from like our main park.
I have to tell you, like, I get it, because like kids in there, like they're what they like what they like, and there's no telling them whatever. Him and his Crocs were killing me when he was like on the stair. I was like, this is an amazing photo. And then I got to his Crocs and I was like, dude,
yeah,
slip some Vans on or something.
And so, and this is off a little tangent, but his Crocs broke like last week, like the little strap broke off. And I was like, I'm not buying you another pair, because I just bought those at Christmas. We've already gone through 2 pair of Crocs. And he's like, that means that I have to wear like regular tennis shoes to school.
Mhm.
Yeah. Those tennis shoes that you had to have at the beginning of the school year that you've worn like maybe twice. Yes, those are what you're going to wear for the last 2 weeks of school.
I would like them to see daylight.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he black and white is all he wears. So black sweatpants or white sweatpants with black sweatpants with white shirt, or white sweatpants with a black shirt. That is all that he will wear. And I'm just like at the point where
I hope he never hears this. Mine essentially, and he kind of makes fun of himself for it too. He's got the 40-year-old dad look. And it's, I'm like, you know what? I'm not spending $100 on Nikes every 6 months because this kid owns one pair of shoes and he will not buy another pair of shoes unless they are flapping.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he is really rough on his shoes, so I don't understand what he's doing to be that rough on them, but he goes through them pretty quickly. All right. So
yeah, that was version 1. I'm real scared about version 2. Version 2 has some PTSD involved in it.
So version 2, I think, is where I fell in love with creating with collections for you. Do you have the year? So April 2020. So I'm assuming that it was
like
in the midst of COVID.
3 months later. Yeah. I was like, let's do it again.
Oh, so you did it in January. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Your date. So January 2020, you knocked out 11 layouts with the simple stories, and you were like, let's knock it out.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that you probably had that mindset because of what was going on in April of 2020. You're like, I'm here at the house. We got nothing going on. Like, that didn't play into it at all?
I mean, maybe. Honestly, I think it was one of those things where I was like, okay, that works. That works well. How can I do this again?
How did the videos do? Like, did it work well, like on your mindset, or did it work well, like it did really? Oh, I guess you didn't probably look at analytics.
Yeah, you know me. I'm not over here like analyzing stuff like that. I think that they did well in the sense of viewers know the series. Viewers talk about the series. Viewers know me for the series. And I think that I showed a different take on that Kill a Kit. And I really I'm like, I love the concept of Kill a Kit. So that was why I was like, okay, what if we just sit within a collection and we create with it type of a thing. And we try to see, it. To me, I'm really trying to emphasize to people, if you're going to try it, just be aware that you are about to discover some things that you don't like and that you will probably never buy again, which is a good thing. Or things that you need to buy doubles of, or, just things that you're like, when you sit in a collection that long, you really start to be like, why did I buy this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I will tell you, before you get into volume number 2, I very distinctly remember being in Tuesday Morning. So that shop is no longer around. And it was around the time when they stopped selling pieces individually and they started selling them in packages. So you would get a collection, a paper collection, plus some of the embellishments. And I remember walking into that store and seeing that Simple Stories Easter collection, and I was like, I'm going to do the creative collections like Nicole.
I'm pretty sure you reached out to me and you were like, hey, can I do this? And I was like, girl, I'm not going to tell you what you can't do. I'm just going to tell you, I don't want to see your layouts. I'm so over that.
And that was before we were really close. Like that was when we were just content creators and we would kind of bounce ideas off of each other, but not like a friendship that we have now. So reaching out to you was kind of like
I was like, I don't know how to tell her. I don't want to see it. Which, okay. So when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this again, I was like, obviously I've used up my family photos. Like I can't do those again. So I tried to, again, kind of find a target. And I was like, I don't have very many Easter layouts. I don't know why I've avoided that holiday. Like I wrote down every Easter and like, why is Easter like a rotating date? Can we put it on the same month? It's not even the same month every year. That was what really got me. I listed out all of the Easters that I didn't have a layout for. Like planned out, this one's going to get 2 layouts. This one's going to get I planned it out and I was like, okay, there's like 12 at least. Let me do like a dedicated one. And it was because Simple Stories had released Hip Hop Hooray. Don't get me wrong. It is cute. It is cuteness overload. Them little bunnies with the floral like headbands. Chef's kiss. I got 17 layouts out of that one. I don't remember how many were doubles versus singles, but that was one of the ones where, because I was focused on a holiday, I didn't have like a dedicated sketch. So I was essentially going back to the drawing board for each layout and trying to figure out, what do I want to do? Sometimes that's harder, sometimes that's less fun. I'm very mood driven. It worked for me. That one was one of those ones where I think I tend to start with those big like swaths of paper, and I tend to use up, it's like I go paper heavy, embellishment light, or I go tiny pieces of paper, all of the embellishments. It's going to take me a week to get it through. There's not really a medium for me, but I was doing stuff on that one that I was like, this is fun. This is great. I want to say maybe around the 10, 11 layout mark was when I was like, I'm tired. I'm tired. But I was like, okay, it's usually about that halfway point where, and like when we get to 4, this is going to come up again where I had to tell somebody, I was like, it's that halfway mark that I'm starting to learn where your personal style, your personal taste, the things that you enjoy about making a layout really start to come out. I was die cutting, and I think one of the ones that you told me you were specifically drawn to, I had taken sentiment strip dies, die cut a bunch of patterns, and then essentially made like a brick wall pattern and like made pattern paper. And you were like, you're crazy for that, but I love it. And I was like, yeah, it worked. I was die cutting like bunnies from Spellbinder stuff and really like looking at paper differently. You know, you're staring at a pile of paper and you're staring at a pile of the embellishments, which, do you remember what I had in that one? Besides the sticker sheet, did I have die cuts?
I want to say that you had I think you got the essential kit again. So you would have gotten like a chipboard and one of the die cut sheets or packs. And probably the brads. I feel like you had the brads because that bunny with the brad in his head always catches me because like he had the flowers and the brad was like right there in the middle of his head.
Yeah.
I think that was on one of your layouts.
Okay. Because that changes up every time too, is I think back to the previous one and I try to ask myself, what did I buy that I didn't use? Because I don't need it. Like, you don't have to shop in the collection kit. You don't have to buy those essential kits. You could literally pick a collection that you like and cherry pick from the papers and cherry pick from the embellishments and still have that quote unquote collection and kind of run it the same way. But I don't know what it was about that Easter one. It was just like, it was like sitting at a buffet and you're still eating and you're just like, I'm tired. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm not hungry. I don't want it. And I remember getting to the last one, which I don't understand, but the last one really did something.
That was the tag one, right?
Yes. I looked at everything I had left and I was like, I'm done after this. This is going to be a double. I'm done. So essentially, I need to throw everything I can at this layout. How much can I possibly fit on here? But I think the sketch I had used, it had like a wallpaper of photos in the middle. So I really only had the up and the top and the bottom, which, okay, great. I can scene build on that. I don't have anything left to make a scene. So I'm like, what do I do? And so that's when I shopped my room. I started digging and looking for things. I had these essential tag dies from scrapbook.com that I think I had recently purchased. And I was like, yeah, let's go with this. I die cut a whole bunch of tags, big tags, little tags, medium tags. I think I even still had some cut apart tags that might have been in there and some die cut, like tags from the die cut pack. And I essentially wallpapered those open areas with tags and then tucked anything and everything I could on that. I remember at that point being like, this is weird. You've gone too far. This is, now you're making leftovers out of stuff that doesn't make sense. But hey, we're done after this. I posted that and people were like, this is the best thing ever. And I'm like, the garbage at the end is what y'all liked. Even, I think you messaged me on that one. I think you might have scraplifted that one. I don't remember, but I was like, all the other ones, nobody was okay. They were okay. That one did something for people.
Yeah. And I feel like it's one of those things where while you were at the end of that collection and you were over it, but it was a way to showcase how much of a layout you can get with a ton of things on it without a ton of things in your collection. Does that make sense? So like you could pull from anything. You could pull from a ton of scraps and make
You're gonna have to pop up photos of like layouts that were made during this, because I think there's people that are new. Like there was one girl that she left me like a really good question, but I was like, me thinketh you are confused. I was like, I think you're talking month in review. We're talking creative collections. And I was like, if she's never experienced that series, then she has no idea. And I didn't want to be like, hey, go down this journey, unless you want to.
Because we've got in Volume 1, you've got 11 episodes. In Volume 2, you've got 17 episodes. So that's a lot in just 2. And you have a total of 4 completed series.
Well, more, because in Volume 1, I did like a halfway recap where I showed the layouts, I showed what was left of my kit, and then kind of explained my game plan moving forward. With Volume 2, because I was prepared for it, I did a collection like reveal, like let's look at what I bought. I haven't cut into anything, and then shared what my plan was. And then I don't remember if I did 1 or 2 recaps. And then I always did at the end where I showed all the layouts and I showed what was left. And so some of them have like, yeah, there's a video for every layout, but then there's also showing the collection and then recaps and then a wrap up.
Right. So in those first 2, you probably have close to 30, if not more, videos. And that's just 2. So you have 2 more to go. So let's talk about Volume 3, which was Simple Stories Hello Today. What made you choose that one?
I mean, simple stories, right? Again, I was in the mood. It's been a year. I was like, okay, I think the PTSD from the bunnies, I think I can do. But again, I always need that starting point. And so when I saw Hello Today, I immediately thought month in review. Month in review led me to realizing that's 12 layouts with 1 collection. That tells me it could be time for creating collections. Like when my brain starts connecting those dots is when I'm like, okay, this could work. Fun fact, Volume 3 was never finished. It's on pause. I didn't I still love it. I think it was one of those things that I paused, I took a break and got distracted with a million other things. And I did the 12 month in review layouts. And then I did 2 other like everyday type of things. And because that collection is like an everyday kind of calendar documented one, those layouts are a little bit harder for me to try to pair up with the product. I still love it. It's just, it's on pause. It's still in a container. Yeah. It's still ready. The thread's still in there. Like,
and you also brought in some quarantine stuff.
Yes.
With that collection, right?
Yes, because I was like, I'm going to do month in review for 2020. So what I did was I purchased, did I put it on here? I got okay, so again, 3rd time running this, I know my shopping habits better. So I bought Hello Today. I bought the paper pack. I bought the 6x8 paper pad because I'm a paper junkie. And I bought the Brads, which I thought was surprising. I didn't buy die cuts. I didn't buy, I'm trying to think, because this would have been five years ago back in their manufacturing. I'm trying to think of what was even available. And then I threw in 3 pattern papers from Quarantined. One of them was like more journaling spot cut apart things, and the sticker set for that one. Because I was like, the colors are close enough. I can probably weave these in from like March on. And it worked.
And no cut and die cuts.
No.
that's my huge embellishment. Like I love die cuts and I use them all the time. I know.
And now I'm like, shoot, do I need to go back and rewatch those videos? Because I'm like, how did I not? But then again, that was one of those ones that my plan always changes with it. So like the other ones, I had photos picked out, I had sketches picked out. This one, I was like, okay, I'm going to do month in review. Month in review is always a different workflow for me because basically I pull the photos I want to use and I decide, is that a 1-page or a 2-page? And I don't remember if I even used a sketch for those. I just kind of did this collage thing, and then whatever space was open, I did this like square layering thing. And it worked out really well for scraps. And it didn't really leave a lot of room for embellishing. So I think I just stuck to the sticker sheet and maybe some cut aparts. How did I not have the dies?
I don't know. Maybe you were thinking that you were going to stash dive.
Or
like
I wonder if I wonder when that collection came out. I wonder if I was shopping older.
Could be. All right. And then you go into volume 4, which this is the first time that you have a guess.
Yes. I don't time creating collections. It's something happens where I start thinking and I'm like, oh, I could do this. And then when enough things are like, I don't know, probably more than 3, I would be like, hey, I wonder if I could do a creative collections of this. And I think it was during 3 that Sarah Scraps, she may have left a comment. I don't know if she messaged me, but she was like, if you ever do this again, tell me. And I was like, that could be fun to make a friend suffer through this because you learn a lot about yourself. And Coco Vanilla was releasing Storyteller, which is very simple stories coded. Like they are very similar design-wise, color-wise. And was that when Tracy Reed designed? I don't remember. Anyways, it was on my radar. I had never purchased Coco Vanilla. I was very salty that I missed out on, what was the boy one, Legendary? I missed it. So I did a pre-order and I told Sarah, I was like, hey, if you want to run it with me, but you got to go at my speed, like, which that can derail a lot of people. And she was like, absolutely. And I remember watching her kit reveal and realizing that we had shopped almost identical items, except I had accidentally duplicated stickers, which is like, I don't like them that much. And I somehow bought 2. And she bought 2 packs of florals and wished that she had bought double stickers. And I was like, I needed those florals by like layout 3. That one was another one where I'm trying to think. I started with family photos and I think I started with a sketch bundle again. And I actually started out of crop. So I literally only had that stuff with me. And I was doing a lot more stitching. I was doing a lot more die cutting. And 4th run in, I know those speed bumps. I know what to look for. I know that when a certain product is coming, I'm probably not going to find a way to use it. That sticker sheet, I was like, I don't like it. I don't know why I don't like it. And as I sat with it, I realized that the sticker sheet was slightly different colors. Like the saturation was different. And I mean, you know me, I don't like when you put like a big frame around a sticker and it's sort of just this blob. I have a hard time using those. So a lot of those didn't get used up. But yesterday I watched my wrap up on that one because I was like, I don't remember having a lot of stuff left over. And I tell you, okay, did I put on here? I got 15 layouts out of that one, 7 doubles and 8 singles. And I feel like I used and abused that one. And I had so many scraps left that I couldn't like move them to my filming desk. So I took the camera and went to like the staging area that I was using towards the end. And it is literally just a pile of scraps, but they were sorted in color order because that was how I was digging for things. I was like, I need something yellow. And I would go through my scraps. And I am die cutting edges of cut aparts. I was using Coco Vanilla only prints on one side. So there was a bunch of papers in the 6x8 pad. I didn't love the pattern. So I was die cutting from the white side for dickers and layering hearts and stuff like that. So I just had like a whole pile where like all you saw was white paper, but really the backside was patterns that I didn't like. And I had multiple people comment and tell me that there was enough to continue doing layouts. And I was like, let me remind you, this was my challenge that I birthed and I make the rules. And one of the rules is the kit is killed when I'm tired of it, when I am done. And I feel like getting 15 layouts out of a collection of products, which I don't know what the retail would have been on it, but it was, I started out with a lot of stuff. To me, getting 15 layouts, which you can count those doubles as technically 14, like That's a lot. And it's my room and it's my rules. And I was like, that stuff is going in the garbage. It was, I don't know if you saw that panning of the scraps. You can put a screenshot of it up here. It looked like garbage. It looked like somebody emptied a trash can on a table. Somebody like me, 100,000% could continue to die cut and like pull in like pattern play or something and keep going. But I was done. I was over it. I was like, it is complete. And at the same time, I've never done it with another person. So as I'm doing it with another person, we're going 2 or 3 layouts at a time and like checking in with each other. I gave her the rule, you cannot show me what you're doing. You cannot show me your layouts. I will see them when we do the video because I really wanted that authentic reaction of seeing her experience it and her coming back to the same products over and over and over again. And so I had to make sure that she was done and I was done at the same time. Otherwise, you've got one person continuing on and somebody's being like, well, where's your content? And it's like, girl, my content's in the garbage because I'm done. Sarah also doesn't do doubles. So it's, but she does a lot more layering. So it was like 2 completely different styles, which was another reason why I said yes to having her do a collab on it, because I think you're looking at product that is very, like, everybody loved it, right? And then you have 2 completely different crafting styles just going ham on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's one of those that when you are seeing like Sarah's versus yours with very different styles, right? You get so many more ideas as a consumer of these videos, right? So being able to see both of you guys put layouts up made a big difference in regards to what you could potentially get from these collections.
I put her, like our recap video, I would put hers up while I was like cleaning my kitchen and stuff. And I'd be screaming at the TV because everything that she hadn't used, I had already used and wanted doubles of. And then it was like vice versa for her. And I was like, how have you not used that? I'm like staring at the screen and she's like, I don't like this pattern. And I was like, send it to me. It was the watercolored rainbow striped pattern that I had used every piece of the 12x12 and the 6x8. And she had like 2 full sheets left. And so it was just funny to me that it was like, this is the epitome of why I wanted to like not share information back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then let's move into volume number 5, which is the Doodlebug Tinsel Town collection.
Yes.
Because I want to preface too with the fact that I've been calling this thing Tinsel Time the entire time. Did you ever say to me that I was naming it wrong?
No, because I wanted
every single video.
I wanted to see how long you would do it.
7 videos. 7 videos in.
I was like, I'm not telling her. I'm not telling her. It's on the screen. It's on the thing I gave her. Yeah. So you had told me, if you ever run it again, I want to do it. And I was like, okay, well then I feel like I have to bend and go Doodlebug because Doodlebug is very Lisa. Like, I'm not going to make her live in simple stories for months on end. And I was also in the mood. I think we had been talking one night where we were like, why do we avoid scrapbooking Christmas? Like, why do we not have Christmas layouts? Like, why is that something that we're just ignoring? And Doodlebug was getting ready to release Tinsel Time, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of in the mood. Let's do this. However, I did not know what was coming my way workload wise. And I still like, that's why I was like, I don't really want to talk about creative collections because there's just a lot of like self-inflicted guilt and shame associated with it. But I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood.
Yeah. I feel like the summer, I mean, your summer is summertime for everyone is just chaotic because you've got kids at home. And so
that's less chaotic than the regular year because I'm not in my car all day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what like interrupts my, like, I'm upstairs. So as soon as I'm like, I gotta go downstairs and drive somebody, by the time I come back, I'm like, I don't really want to go back up there. I'm out of the mood. You can just pop right back in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you only have one to go Uber.
Yeah. And fun fact, this is a little tangent. He told me today, he's like, when I'm a senior in high school, there's not going to be any friends on the bus. And I was like, well, when you're a senior, I would assume that you've got your act together and you've got your license and you're driving. He was like, no, I prefer to be on the bus. I was like, okay, that's great. So that means that you're going to be a senior and not driving, which means I will have to drive you around.
Listen, as long as he's not a 5th-year senior,
Yeah.
manage your expectations. So yeah, I was like, okay, Lisa loved the Easter like version. So let's go holiday focus. We had just had that conversation. And so again, I always have to have that starting point. And so I had listed out a bunch of like Christmas stuff. I think part of my downfall was I didn't do as much planning and prep ahead of time and like stay in a collection or stay in a class. I'm like figuring things out every single layout. Also one of the things that I was like, I can't tell her this. She has to hear this in real time. Okay. Again, you learn things about yourself and you learn things about products in this. Okay. I have learned that I am somebody who I love Doodlebug. I enjoy it. It is great. I love the faces even on the food. Sarah hates faces on food. I'm like, I love it. But then I need to put it away and put it on the shelf until I'm in the mood for that. It's less everyday type of feeling like a Simple Stories or a Cocoa Vanilla. It's a treat. So when I've been gorging on it, I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm saying I am unmotivated. I am like
already got the ick.
Yes. And it's working through the ick. That is the part that I'm like, I don't like. It's like working out. You're like, I don't want to do it. You feel better after, but you're just like, I hate it here. I hate this. I don't care. So I was like, I don't want to tell her that. I know you already made your 3, like you have like 3 layouts like sitting, waiting for me. I have 3 that are in different stages that I had to put away when like a wave of stuff came. I am desperately digging my way out of like projects and deadlines. My room is atrocious. I am focused on like in the next week or 2 opening that box and being like, okay, we're gonna get through this. And I think part of it is, again, Doodlebug is one of those things I pull out, I use it, I put it back. That's a speed bump. Another speed bump is I got the Christmas ick really bad because I had so many Christmas layouts that I did and cards that I was just like,
for your design team stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And I was like, I'm over it. There was another speed bump I was getting ready to tell you about, and I can't. It's the halfway speed bump, essentially, is what I think about it. It's a big speed bump where it's that halfway point where you've been using it enough that you're kind of tired of looking at it. And then because you've been digging through it so much, there's certain products or certain patterns that you know that you keep passing up and you're like, okay, why am I passing it up? If I'm like, this is not for me, I'm not going to use it. I'll die cut it or use it for layers or something. But then it's the stuff in the middle where I have to try to think creatively. And those are the layouts that slow me down because now I'm getting weird. Now I'm die cutting stuff. I'm cutting things apart. And that's the stuff that takes longer. Like it's faster to do those big pieces of paper and build a scene. And honestly, Doodlebug is beefy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons that I love them so much because while I've never done a creating with collections before, I have done collections, especially Doodlebug, where I've gotten 12, 13, 14 layouts done out of a collection. It wasn't my intention to do like to kill the kid or anything like that. It was just, I love this collection so much and I have it all and it's so beefy that I can get a ton of layouts with it.
So let's say, okay, so I have those 3 planned. You have your 3 done. That puts us at 10. If my math is right, okay, so we're at the middle speed bump. What's your consensus so far? What have you learned about your process? What have you learned about your shopping?
Well, I have said this from the very beginning, especially with Doodlebug, is I love the fact that they have the 3 size options. That is the best thing ever. And I don't think
I hate it.
No. Yeah.
But I've done this before, so I know if I'm buying the die cut pack, I'm going to be super conservative on what else I get because I know how much stuff.
Right. And I think that you didn't anticipate the size of the die cut packs.
No.
Because I've shopped Doodlebug a lot and because I love that collection, all of their collections, I know that those embellishments in the die cut packs are huge. And there's a reason why they have icons and mini icons.
And I think it's because I bathe myself in it and then I put it away. And then when I bring it back out, it feels like it's new again. So I remember when I was putting them all on like the cardstock so that I could see everything, I was like, this is too much. And honestly, I'm going to say it right now. I don't know if you're having the same problem. The phrase banners.
I always have that problem with all of the Doodlebug collections. That is something that is left in all of the ones.
I think I would like it better if they all had white font. It's when they throw in the black font that I'm just like, you've ruined it. What am I going to do? There's only so many things you can say.
I think that they try to tailor to both scrapbookers and card makers. So there are some on there that is like, I would never use this because it is focused on a card.
And I'm trying real hard not to cheat and just start making cards because I feel like it's a little cheap.
Well, so my thought is, and it was something that I've been worried about from day one with this, is that because Doodlebug is not something that you love as much as I do, I anticipate you being done before I do. And I anticipate me wanting to continue to use the collection because I'm not done with it. When you're like, I can't make any more.
You said that, and then I had to remind myself. I was like, I think she's forgetting my ability to take a repeating die cut the smallest things, and add some white cardstock and make an entire layout.
Well, not that you are out of supplies. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's more going to be, I'm done with this because I hate it now and don't want to be in it anymore. Where I'm like, I have 5 more layouts that I have in my mind right now.
So that kind of goes back to the whole speed thing that I was dealing with Sarah, where I was like, okay, we need to make sure that we're like kind of finishing around the same level. I don't remember if we had the same amount of videos or not. Now I'm questioning that. But the entire time, like especially when we first started, I was going with the thought of, you tend to do doubles and I will do a single if I can get away with it. So that right there is already doubling at least papers for you. So I think we'll be okay. It'll just be me suffering through where I'm like, I'm tired. It's, you know what it is? It's the boots. Santa in his freaking boots. I'm like, I absolutely hate this.
I love those boots. I think they're like, I think I've used.
When you get into the questions, I'll probably be able to explain this better. Is something that I've learned throughout all this is mix in the things that I don't enjoy with the things that I love. Don't use up the things that I love right away. Be sparing with that. Try to stretch those as far as I possibly can. So things like the boot, I will tuck into a scene somewhere where I'm like, it's going to fill a hole, but I'm going to put the thing I love in front of it. So it's just techniques to get by where I'm like, you know, how can we do this?
All right, so let's jump into some of those collections. On the Google sheet, there was somebody who did not want to be named, so I'm not going to put her name out there. But she said, how do you know for sure that the collection you buy will have enough of the paper to create your layouts? So when we're doing creating with collections, how do we figure out what you are going to use and what you're not going to use? And the first time, obviously, you're not going to know. But has there been anything that you're like, absolutely, I'm going to buy doubles up, or I'm going to, make sure that I get a ton of that?
Yeah, it definitely goes back to know your style. So like if I had thought about it, I would have gone and bought duplicates of some of those pattern papers that I've completely used up from Tinsel Time. Now you have me questioning myself. Is it Town?
Town. It's Tinsel Town, yeah.
You sure?
I'm gonna Google it.
Because I think I've been going off of what you say, and I'm like, I don't think there's a Town. I think it's Time.
It is tinsel time.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so anyways, I know papers. Okay, so like Cocoa Vanilla, I should have bought extra of that rainbow watercolor paper, because if I double up on the things that I know, like wood grains, there's usually one or two patterns in a collection where I'm like, ooh, this is going to be rough because I'm going to have to strategically stretch this across the whole series so that I enjoy it, mix it in with the stuff that I enjoy less. If I duplicate those, it just goes further. It just stretches that further. So like in your case, it would be the aqua with the little reindeers on it. I know that that's one of your top. Yeah. I know.
Yes.
So you probably would have bought duplicates of that one. And a lot of times when I'm shopping, I don't think about buying duplicates because I'm just like, well, I don't want to be here forever. And then when I'm sitting in the supplies, I'm like, why did you not buy another one of these? Now I'm having, you know what, fun fact, creating collections, I gut paper. I don't think about it any other time.
And I'm always going to gut paper. So I think regardless of whether you're going to take on this challenge of creating with collections, right? You're going to try to get as many collections or as many layouts as you can within a collection. I think that learning your style and whatever that style may be is the most important part when you are purchasing a collection. So when I go to purchase a collection, so the most recent one that I purchased was
Was it Our Love Song?
Boulevard. Yeah, Bella Boulevard's Our Love Song. I got the collection back because I knew I wanted one of every sheet. And then I always go through the single sheets of paper. And the first thing that I look at is the B-sides of those papers, because if it's a good B-side, especially like you said, a wood grain, a stripe, or a plaid, those are the three that I'm absolutely going to purchase a second sheet from, because I know that I'm going to use a ton of those. Another one that I really like to get a second one of are the cut aparts, just simply because I'm afraid that I'm going to use the backside, especially if I like the backside. I'm going to use the backside and then later on be like, oh, I really needed that cut apart.
Yeah, and it's the border sheet too. So sometimes if a collection has a border sheet, but they only give you one sheet in the collection kit, I try to go find a second one, because if I'm going to do a double, I'm probably going to want both.
Yeah. Yeah. And also sometimes the sticker sheets, if it has the borders on it as well, because there's a lot of times that I want a second border. So those are our styles and that's what we like. So I think when you're looking to purchase a collection, because they're not cheap, if you're going to purchase the entire collection, you're going to really plan out that, hey, this is what I want. It's trying to figure out what you really love. And also considering if you're a single or a double. If you're a single girl, then you might not need extras of some of them because you're not going to need it for your double page layouts.
Or you really, really, really like it.
And that's okay to purchase it. Now, I started doing, this is not created with collections, but last year I started doing the justification series on my channel, where if I found a collection, I myself had to find 5 layouts that I could complete with that collection, because that takes it from, I really love this collection, to, is it just because it's cute and it's cute colors and there's cute critters on it, to, do I have photos for it? Does it fit my...
You're finding the intended purpose before you pay for it, which is smart.
Yeah. And so when you're looking at collections and thinking about purchasing them, whether you're trying to go down this path of creating with collections and you want to get as many as you can out of it, there's a big difference between, I love this because it's my color palette, and I love this because here's all the photos that I can create with it. And that helps us get from not just purchasing collections, but actually using them. I would love your take on busy patterns, or the kind either of you don't particularly like, but you don't want to waste. Do you give it to a friend who may use it? Do you try to cover it up with other patterns or try to tone it down? What do you do with those busy patterns, or those patterns that are just not your favorite? So when it comes to creating with collections...
I was going to say, are we talking about in the series or free will?
Yeah, in the series, creating with collections, how do you deal with those patterns?
Okay, if it is a pattern that I'm looking at it and I'm like, honestly, if I'm being honest with myself, I'm probably not gonna want to use it. I will do the thing where you use the whole sheet as the background and then like bring in like a layer. Not one I can show
just
you.
Like a 1-inch border around the sides,
and
or
normally I would gut it, right? I'm like, I'm not gonna gut it. And especially if there will be a couple times where both sides, I'm like, you couldn't put these on separate sheets.
And then there's also on the other end of the spectrum, you have a piece of paper where both sides are beautiful, and it's like,
yeah, I'm like,
switch those up.
I'm over here cutting the baby in half. Like, I don't like this. Yeah, so I will either use it as a whole base, or I try to kind of ignore it. And let's say I pick a sketch, and let's say that sketch, like one of the ones I really like for creating the collections because it works really good for scraps are those ones where whether it's vertical or horizontal, you have all those like messy stacked strips with like the banner ends. I will tuck them in there. I'll cut like those will be like the chunkier ones and I'll tuck it in. And honestly, those are the ones that I'm kind of using for the multicolor aspect to then mix in like the B-sides and the more subtle. I'm also trying really hard not to talk with my hands because I've been getting comments from people.
Which I find is just ridiculous that people have those.
I can't see them. So
yeah. And I don't know. It goes back to, we've talked about this before as well. You are sitting behind your computer in front of your keyboard and you're making comments and you have no idea what type of work this takes to do. But I agree. I think that cutting it down in strips is probably one of the most popular ways that I do it.
I also think you gravitate towards A-sides. Like you love a good, I call them like the confetti icon print. Like you did, I don't think I've used the papers yet. And I watched your video where you did, it was like aqua and red color focus. And it was that reindeer paper. And I was looking at it and I was like, okay, this is giving me ideas. Because both of those things I had been avoiding. And the way that you mixed it in, I was like, okay, I got some ideas. This is helping. And I do think that you were a little irritated with me at the beginning when I said, okay, but one of the rules is we don't show each other our layouts, not even in process, because I feel like it not muddies the water, but do you know what I mean? I don't want to be influenced by you, and I don't want to influence you to change what you're doing. I want you to experience it, your flow, your style, and you have to learn your speed bumps. My speed bumps are not your speed bumps.
Yeah. And I think that with the busy pattern papers, again, I do love a good A-side, but I can see how it could be a speed bump for other people because they are really busy. But if you just kind of take a step back and take a look at it and see how you can tone it down with other papers.
I have in the past. So when I was on the scrap room design team, we got you'll know the name of it. It was like the barbecue themed one. And we got the icon confetti pattern. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. And with the scrap room, you get a sample of the die cuts. And so I only had like a little bit. So I ended up fussy cutting the icons off of that pattern paper and basically giving me the same size like stickers that you get from the 6x8 like icon sticker sheets. So I made it work for me.
Yeah. And so that one, I think it was called Barbecue, BARQ. And I also think that I got that collection in the scrap room kit.
You were on the team at the time and I was a guest designer. So I think we got the same kit.
Yes. And I remember the layout that I did with that. We were living in an apartment, or I was living in an apartment at that time. And on July 3rd, I thought, why don't we do like our little July 4th barbecue down at the pool so it won't be so busy, because I'm sure July 4th it'll be busy at the pool, which it was nice because there was nobody there except for us. And we brought our hamburgers and hot dogs, had friends over, and hung out in the pool. And I live in the country and I live in lots of trees, and so we had a visitor, a raccoon, And like he stayed on the outside of the fence, but I have these pictures of his little hands coming through, like
I would have
trying
been
to grab
over
the hot
there.
dog.
I would have been over there making a friend.
Yes, I took so many pictures of him. I'll post the layout in the show notes.
I was going to say I'll send you mine too, because mine it was December. We barbecue all year long here, so I was like, this will work.
Yeah. So there are so many different ways that you can use those busy pattern papers. And I think that's a perfect example, because I think that I use like the big chunk of it and put it in like as a background piece. And I'm sure you, like you said, cut it all apart and made little icons with it.
Done the vellum trick to kind of mute it and then like build a scene on top of it. For me, it's just hard because when I put stuff on top of it, I feel like it gets lost. So a lot of times I will either use it, like I said, in big chunks mixed in with other stuff, or I'll use it maybe behind like a photo block or the base of the layout. Like if it's real bad, I'll die cut from it.
I saw a lot in the Scrapbook Addicts group, especially you can tell that they are like a newer scrapbooker, and they'll have like a really busy pattern paper. I remember a girl posted something like within the last week. She had, it was, I don't think I've ever seen the paper before, but the paper was giving me like Bella Boulevard Doodlebug vibes, in the sense that it had like cartoon looking canoes, trees. So it made me think of like Doodlebug's Great Outdoor Collection. And so she saw this paper, but it wasn't Doodlebug, but she saw this paper and she was like, immediately thought of the Up movie. So Russell and Doug from the Up movie. And so she had some of these like really large embellishments that were Up theme on top of this really busy pattern paper. And she was like asking for advice in the group. Like, how do I make this work? And it was like, first of all, that's not a background paper. Like in my own opinion, do not use that as a background. You can use it as a large chunk.
Yeah.
Not a background. Like you can't. Yeah. So, and I think that goes back to when we were first scrapbooking. When you first start out, you have all of these like really busy pattern papers, whether they're gorgeous and you love them, or they're like, I don't know what to do with that. We always, or at least for me, I always thought it had to be a background. And so how can I make this into a background? And I've had that mind shift of like, those busy pattern papers need to be in smaller chunks. And then the less busy pattern papers, the B-side papers, those are the ones that you're going to want larger.
Yeah.
So when do you consider a collection done? So we got a couple of questions from this. Deborah said, what do you do with the leftovers when you have completed the collection? And then we also have another listener who didn't want to be named. She said, when is a kit done? And when can you, with a clear conscience and no remorse, toss your scraps?
It's going to be different for everybody. The Easter one, honestly, I was just tired of looking at it. And when you're looking at the scraps, could you possibly continue to die cut and get smaller and smaller and still make something? Sure. If I know I'm not going to enjoy that, it's a good indicator to be done. So a lot of times what I will do is I will go through, and if I still have pieces of my like absolute favorites, so like the wood grains, those B-sides, I keep them, I mean, super small pieces. I just have like a drawer that I keep that stuff in, and that's what I cut like tiny hearts from and stuff. And then if there's any embellishments that I still see value in, or I think I could potentially use, I just put them in my leftover binder. Everything else, guilt-free, goes into the trash can, because to me, I've used it. I got my money's worth out of it. I made a lot of layouts that I enjoyed, and I don't want to get to the point where I don't enjoy it and I don't like the end result. And that's going to be different for everybody. Like you and I have completely different styles when it comes to scraps alone. So I don't know what the end is going to look like for both of us. I'm terrified. But I know that there's some people that, I don't know, they just have this, I have to keep every little thing. And I'm like, if you don't think you're going to reach for that ever again, I kind of think it's okay to let it go, or put it in a pile and use that to die cut layers from. Use it to stack and put behind your photos instead of foam adhesive or something. Like if you really, really want to eke it out, you can. I'm okay tossing it at some point.
Yeah. And no, I haven't done the creating with collections, but
no, but you have done it. Yeah, you've done it with the shop thing, where that's my favorite part of those videos is I am sat for the end, because the stuff that you toss or keep, I'm like, what are you doing?
And I can tell you, so the one collection that, I want to say it was the first collection that I did with Shop My Room, and I'll link the video down below. It was Echo Park's Imagine That collection, which I absolutely loved. And I immediately thought when that little spinner stopped spinning, I was like, oh, I won't get rid of this collection. And when I sat down with it, I was like, that's not true. And now, several months later, I just posted a layout today. No, it wasn't the one today. It was my month in review, so it'll come up at the end of the month, where I used a little tiny airplane that I know that came from that collection. And had it not been in my color binder, had I not broken down that collection and said, I love this collection, but it is not useful to me in the way that it's currently stored.
Yeah, and I think you had the same thing where when you're pulling it out and it feels tedious and not exciting, that's to me the indicator of, okay, it's probably time to just break it up and either put stuff, like you and I both use like a leftover binder and like scraps for die cutting and stuff. At that point, if you don't do that, at that point, just take the stuff that you still like and you still see use from and weave it into another collection and just kind of keep it going, but throw away the stuff that you don't like. Like there's too much out there to be.
Yeah. And so the thing that I've done is I have a box underneath my desk, and that box, until it is full, it doesn't get donated. So if it does come to a point where I'm like, oh man, I wish I had, XYZ, it's in that box. Have I pulled anything from that box in the 5 months since I've started this? No, absolutely not. Like there's nothing in there that I've been like, oh, I need this.
That's a safe indicator that it's
time.
Yeah.
It's
and
time
I think it's
yeah.
because, your style changes, your mood for product changes, and stuff that you pull out, a year after the last time you used it and you were excited, and now you're looking at it and you're like, I don't know what I was thinking. And that's okay.
Yeah. And I think that if you are to do this Creating with Collections challenge, like you said, you're going to learn what works best for you, because what works best for me and Nicole isn't necessarily what works best for you, right? So if you take this challenge, and I would even go as far as to say, this would be a really good challenge for a brand new scrapbooker, or a scrapbooker who like got rid of everything and then decided they weren't going to scrapbook, and then years later life happened differently and now they're getting back into it. A great way to figure out your style. And I think that if I was starting to scrapbook today as opposed to back in 2004, I would want this advice. Find a set of photos, family photos like Nicole did for her first round, your wedding photos,
a holiday, something,
holiday. Yeah. Something where you can sit inside of a collection and then go and search for a manufacturer who's going to give you what you need. I think that Echo Park is a good company to start with, especially if you don't have anything. Let's say you're a brand new scrapbooker or you're getting back into it, because they have great sales and they have so many different topics that you could find a collection and then get everything for that collection, and then sit in that collection and create a ton of layouts for your wedding or for a holiday or for your family photos or whatever. And then when you are going through that process, you're going to learn, I like stickers, I don't like die cuts, or vice versa. And that's going to help you when you start to buy other collections and start to span outside of those photos.
Yeah, because especially if the first time you do it, and I think I kind of encountered this the first time as well, I would gravitate towards my favorite stuff first. And then as I progressed, it's you're left with all the things that you didn't like for a reason. And it's very eye-opening when you realize that all the things that are left are the same things. So it could be something as simple as maybe you used all the icons, but you didn't use the sentiment die cut pack. Well, then that's an indicator that you don't need it.
Yeah. And so I think that I would highly recommend anyone who is wanting to do this challenge to try it, and it will be eye-opening for the way that you scrapbook. I think that's kind of the best thing that you're going to get from this entire series. All right, so are you ready to jump into some of the questions that were on Facebook?
Yeah, I just saw this one right here that says, when will the next video be out? And I'm like, that's dirty. What day are we on? Listen, I am going to aim for the 10th.
Of June?
Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, so we're already at an hour.
We have a ton of questions. So sorry.
So
it's definitely one of those things.
I got 2 hours.
It's one of those things that you really have to experience it for yourself. And I find it interesting when you have people like, to me, you and Sarah both have very deep-rooted styles. You don't really navigate outside of your style, whereas I'm somebody who's a little bit, like I said, squirrel syndrome, where I'll do the traditional big swaths of paper doubles, but then I'll also do like a bunch of weird stuff on a single. Like, I'm all over the place. So I don't know. Like the thought of somebody sitting down and being like, I'm going to do this too. I'm like, praying for you.
All right. So Ann Kelly in the group said, what happens if you run out of paper and still have a significant amount of embellishments left? Would you bring in more paper or just be done and have the extra embellishments? And how many layouts from one collection is too many, or is there no such thing?
Yeah, no such thing. So that was an easy one. There's no such thing. It's done when you're done. However many layouts that you feel like you did it, the service that it needed to have, good. I don't know how to, like, am I answering how I feel about this or advice to somebody trying it?
Well, I think that if they're doing creating with collections, if you're really wanting to learn your style, then you're going to stick with the collection and not bring anything else.
So I tend to not bring in paper. I've done it once where I brought in some wood grain to stretch vanilla. I think that's what happened. Was Sarah was still going and I was like, I got to figure this out. So I brought in some wood grain or something. Creating the collections, again, to me, the core is you decide how it's going to go. You decide how challenged you want to be. If you want to issue, I don't want to bring in paper, I want to force myself to think outside the box, then that's for you. I tend to not bring in paper because I know that once I bring in more paper, it's just going to continue. Like, I will continue to find ways, and at some point it has to end. But I'm also somebody who, one of the ones from volume 4, I'll send you the photo, has like no paper on it and is all scraps. Like, you wouldn't know that there was die cut holes behind the photo mats that I used, and it's really relying on a stitched grid and embellishments. But it still is an interesting layout. I still love it. It was one of my favorites. But there's like no paper on it. That's when you kind of start thinking outside the box. Like, I start looking for different types of sketches, or I go looking on Pinterest for layouts that have a lot of white space. Like, you start trying things. You start scrap lifting and you're like, okay, that's great. I'm never doing that again. I'm glad I tried it. Or I love that. Let me put this in the bucket of ideas for next time.
Yeah. And I think, so you got 2 options here, right? So if you're going down the path of truly just staying within the collection, you're probably going to get some really amazing creative layouts that you wouldn't have thought of before. Or if you get to the point where you're like, I have a ton of embellishments and I don't have paper, and you're truly trying to figure out your style, then it's one of 2 things. When you're purchasing items, you need to think about what additional papers you want to purchase for that collection. Or do you need all those embellishments, right?
Which, that's the other thing, is I don't limit myself on cardstock. I'm allowed to bring in as much white base cardstock as I can. I'm okay with that. Another solution to like her specific question, if I'm at the end of something like that, I'm going to do something like that tag layout or a giant scene. I'm going to use up as many embellishments as I possibly can on some plain white cardstock, fill it with photos, and call it good.
And so I feel like it goes back to what you want. You do you, right? So taking this challenge as how you want to handle it and going from there and figuring out what works best for you. All right. So Lisa Kelly said, do you ladies only create with collections? Do you find that it makes it more efficient? It seems like content creators usually do this. Every scrapbooker who maybe doesn't have a budget or the luxury of buying the entire collection always has to stash dive or bring layouts together with a million different bits and bobs to bring the layout together. Would love to hear your thoughts on this, and also great to see more videos like this. So I do only scrapbooking collections. I have started to expand out a little bit, but
she's in the shallow end.
Yes, very, very shallow. But I do prefer, and here's why. And I think that we've talked about this before in other podcasts.
And you, the grad video, I just watched it this morning. You were talking about it in there too.
Yes. So I need people to understand there are two types of people in this world. There are super creative people, and then there are very analytical people. I am a very analytical person, hence the spreadsheet and all of my planning and organization and everything like that. I want to be creative, but I don't have a creative bone in my body in the sense of like going over there to all of that stuff and being like, I'm going to pull this sheet of paper and this sheet of paper and this sheet of paper and it's going to look good. That is absolutely not something that I can do. There are people who are paid a lot of money to curate a collection, and I'm just going to use that.
You're going to trust it.
Yeah. So I have the ability to be creative without having to create new things, in the sense like I can sit down and follow a sketch and I can make things pretty. But if you truly have followed my channel from day one, everything that I do is very analytical. All of my layouts are very analytical. I follow the sketch usually pretty closely. It's very linear in my brain. And so I'm able to be creative because I have the support of other people doing things for me. So I know that there are people out there who are extremely creative and can pull out a kit. I watch those videos where they're like, I'm going to, create a kit for this month and this is what I'm going to work in. And they pull from all these other collections. And I was like, that's a beautiful thing. I can never do it.
I can only do it for a layout. And then everything goes back to where I pulled it from. I don't do like the self-curated kit thing.
Yeah. And so for those people who, like Lisa Kelly says, doesn't have the budget or the luxury of being able to buy the entire collection, if you were to do a creating with collections type challenge for yourself, then you're going to learn what works for you. And then you don't have to buy the entire collection. If you realize that you only need 3 sheets of paper and some embellishments, then you're not what I would consider wasting money. Because if you buy the entire collection and you're only getting 1 or 2 layouts out of that collection, that's not worth the amount of money.
I feel like you're better off getting like either the 12 by 12 sticker sheet or a die cut pack, couple sheets of paper, and then pull B-sides or colored cardstock from your stash and like do like a junior version.
Right. Yeah. Because you could absolutely, if you love a collection and you're like, oh, I can't afford that collection.
Yeah.
I will say the embellishments.
Yeah. I will say, I think working within a collection 100% is more efficient because like you said, you're not going and like constantly looking for stuff. I love mixing stuff and stash diving. I'm just in a space right now where I'm being sent collections and then being assigned a collection. So like you're seeing now on Bello where you get assigned a collection, and sometimes there will be an added challenge of like use the creative cuts or use the clear cuts or use a Bella pop, but not mixing between lines. So I'm kind of hemmed in a little bit right there, but I am somebody who I don't have a problem going and being like, I'm going to create a layout about buying my car. I'm not going to use a car themed layout. I'm going to pull some of my mind's eye paper. I'm going to pull some random stuff out of my leftover binder. Like, I'm going to make it work. And I did. But I'm also somebody who is not super analytical. And fun fact, mixing white and creams doesn't bother me. Not a single
I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it either.
I have people who are like angry when like Simple Stories does it. And I'm like, I don't know. I just use it. It doesn't bother me.
Which I find it interesting because I very distinctly remember when I was in college, I got a job and we had to wear white polo tops and khaki shorts, or like khaki pants, khaki bottoms. And I was like, that's a cool combination. Like, I like that. It looks good. It's clean. It's crisp. And then when I heard you don't mix white and cream, I was like, does like the rest of the world know that? Because white and khaki is a pretty popular color combination.
I don't know. Maybe because khaki's darker. I don't know.
Maybe. But I also think that if you are setting your room up to be successful for you, I don't buy random pieces of embellishment. Like when I first started scrapbooking, I did a lot of that. I would buy these random pieces. Some of them ended up in my color binders or my color boxes, but not really. Like it came to the point where I was like, I don't want to go and try to find stuff for this. So I stopped buying those random embellishments, even if I liked them or thought that they were really good deal at like Tuesday Morning or something like that. If I couldn't see myself using it with a collection or it would fit into something I already had, I just left it there in the store.
Okay, fun fact. Baby Scrapbooker me was a lot like you, where I thought, okay, I have to use the collection because it's created to work together, this and that. This puts a big spotlight on why I absolutely love YouTube and the people that share on YouTube, because way back when I first found Nicole McGork, now Nicole Spore, when she was a garden girl, she would do this thing where she would just pull a bunch of random stuff from her room that worked for the layout that she had planned. And at the very beginning of the video, she would show you like all 9 papers were from different brands. The embellishments were from different people. She was bringing in stamps, and it did something to my brain. And the first couple of times that I practiced by like scraplifting, or I would like grab a sketch and try to do the same thing, I was like, I absolutely love this. This is somehow so freeing to me.
And I feel like for me, having my color containers. So behind me, I have what I consider my B-side containers. And this is paper that I have pulled. And one side might be super busy, but I'm ignoring that side completely. It's in the blue box because the back side of it has blue stripes on it or whatever. That's my way of being able to pull from my room or my collection, but still work within a collection. The Slice of Nostalgia, which went up not too long ago, I pulled in like this aqua blue color for the background because the collection didn't have like a good B-side blue color that I wanted to use. And so I was able to stash dive in a very
You kind of do this thing
way
where the main course is the collection and you start bringing in sides and drinks and dessert from other things in your room. Like you've always had those little like colored embellishment things where you would bring them in at the end. And I remember when you started doing oh gosh, I think it was the one where you were like, is the collection going to stay or go? And I like paused the video I was watching to message you. And I was like, why did you not just go ahead and use these or put these in your leftover binder? And you were like, I never saw them on the sticker sheet. And I'm like, they're right there.
Yeah. And it goes back to what you are used to and what you've kind of curated for your own room. So, all right. So Erica says, what happens if, say, you only bought the paper because it was cute and you didn't get the embellishments? how do you decide what should go with it? Do you make a collection kit from things you own or only purchase them that way? I also agree with Anne. How many layouts is too many for a collection?
So I have done this in the past on accident where like I bought the 6x6 pad, but I didn't buy anything that matches that. My go-to is fussy cutting from the paper, die cutting from the paper, relying on what I consider generics. So like labels that have colored borders, which means I'm digging through anything and everything. I'm looking at what I consider sister collections that don't have the exact same color palette. But if you're looking at something like Doodlebug, you know that the orange is orange, no matter which one. So I'm okay filling in. In recent years, I'm now aware of digital availability, but a lot of people don't print at home, so that's not necessarily an option. But if I only have the paper, I'm going to look at the paper for embellishment content first. Are there tags that I can cut out? Are there phrases that I can fussy cut and get a title from? Can I fussy cut the tiny little embellishments? And then I also look at layout design a little bit differently because I know that I'm limited on what I have.
Mm-hmm. So I just recently did the InSync layout, which was a single page. But that was one of those where I saw that paper and was immediately like, oh my goodness, this is going to work for these photos. And then it's a scrapbooking collection. I think it's from Simple Stories, and I think it's like Create or something like that. But it has all kinds of scrapbooking supplies with it. And that's not going to work, obviously, for my layout. So I went to my dies. The stars, hearts, your basic shapes is what I used on that one. And then for those embellishments, because I don't know that there is any scrapbooking company out there that has InSync stickers, but I went to Etsy and I was able to find like a sticker sheet. I think the stickers were actually made for like water bottles. They weren't actually scrapbooking stickers, but it worked for my layout. So if you have that really pretty pattern paper, like Nicole suggested, but also looking at those very generic dies that you have or punches, looking for sketches. A lot of times, the sketches that are out there, especially like Scrapbook Generation sketches, her embellishment clusters are usually very star themed. And you can put any embellishment there you want, but that might help you realize that, hey, I can die cut from the paper, like you said, see if there's any embellishments from there, or I can bring in a bunch of different stars because she makes stars work for a ton of different layouts. And so using those basic shapes will help you a lot to make just that paper stretch. And then turning to Etsy, because Etsy's always going to be a place where you can find just random stuff that goes with anything. So, and then also I would agree, the digital stuff, I know a lot of people don't want to go down that hybrid path, but it does open up a lot of possibilities, especially for those older collections, like maybe that you missed. I know there was a couple that you were like, oh, I didn't.
I was going to say, it was the same one that you did on the InSync one where I was like, why do I think I bought this? And then I was putting something away and I texted you and I said, I figured it out. I bought the 6x6 pad and only the 6x6 pad. So at some point I'm going to get to that and I'm going to have the, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah. So, and then I also had, I think it was given or sent to me by mistake when I purchased something. It was a 6x8 pad from Simple Stories. And what I ended up doing, it was still kind of new, but I went and bought those, what are they, perfect pages or page, the ones that like you
simple
can get.
pages.
Simple pages, yeah.
I love them.
Yes. They're enough embellishments in all different sizes, and they are perfect for just creating. And so even if you were to look at your Simple Stories collection or whatever collection, and it's an older collection, if you go and look at some of those embellishment pieces, you might be able to find something that's going to match close enough that will work with that paper, and getting that will be able to create a full layout with it. All right, so the next one was, have you ever considered making your own collections from leftovers or items bought outside of a collection? A paper you really like or a die cut that you may have. So you have. So tell me about that.
I've thought about it, but then it goes back to when I essentially curate a kit to make a single layout, those choices that I'm making are super specific to that story or those photos. So my brain hasn't figured out a method to do it in a longer version, even if it's just to get 5 layouts done. As we were sitting here talking about it, I was thinking the only thing I could possibly come up with would be to do like 5 layouts of my daughter's like cheer competition and that type of stuff, because those would all be the same colors, the same few products that I have, probably some stars, like that type of thing. So I could see it if I had enough photos of the same event style. Possible.
Now, I don't, again, going back to what I said before, I don't have the ability to do that. Like in my brain wise, I don't. But I have done it for Eli's soccer paper because there's not really a whole lot of collections out there that is for soccer. Like Simple Stories did a smaller collection at one point. But for whatever reason, sports collections don't always tend to have like full collections. So I have just one of my like regular containers that I keep my collections in, and it has scrapbook stuff from a ton of different collections that are all soccer themed. But I think it's because that is a very specific thing, like you were saying.
I do that with 4th of July and school. It's everything's mixed together, and when I work on those 2 topics, I mix everything together.
Because I feel like regardless of what you're doing for 4th of July, it's going to be red, white, and blue. The red, white, and blues may not be the exact colors, but you can
It's
usually...
either bold and bright or vintage. That's the only thing that I don't mix.
Yeah. All right. So the next question comes from Penny. She said, on the creating collection question, I have always had is why is there a drive to kill a collection? But I feel dumb for wondering it. Like, is there a thrill or just to beat it to death? Do you not like having things in your stash? Like Nicole beat the heck out of the Easter collection, like murdered it. And I guess the follow-up question is, why do you push through when you are tired of a collection?
It goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, is a walking, talking example of how much is included in these collections, how much you can get out of these collections, how you can stretch your dollar in these collections. Also, I'm a little bit of a sadist, so like I like some self-punishment. And it's honestly, it's a really good exercise in learning your style and better understanding the difference between what you buy versus what you actually use, which then helps you save money when you're shopping.
Yeah. And for me, like I haven't completed the creative collections, but for me, if I love something, I am going to beat it to death because I love it so much. The Doodlebug Easter collection is what comes to mind. I just recently purchased the new, and it's not really new, I think it came out last year, the newer Doodlebug collection. And when I looked back, the first layout that I did, I had all the new stuff and I was like, I'm going to see what else I can pull from the old stuff and then I'm going to pull in the new stuff. I pulled in one sticker from my new collection because I was still in love with that original Doodlebug collection. And I feel like at this point still, I could probably create another layout with it because I love that collection so much. And so for me, it's not about trying to kill the collection. It's more about, I love this so much that I need it out of my room and on a layout because it's so beautiful. So it might be different when I go through the creative collections and have to be forced to do it. But
I feel like part of my motivation to get back into it is I want to see what our end pile.
Yeah,
like, they're gonna be different.
They are. They're very, very much so. And here's what's crazy is it's come to a point now where I was thinking about this the other day is I know that you got the ick from Christmas because you had to create like a bazillion layouts for Simple Stories. And at this point we are, coming up in June. So we're middle of the year and we have got to buckle down and get this done, because I suspect that come November, December, you're going to go through that same process with Simple Stories, because they always put out a ton of Christmas collections every year. So it's like, we've got to get this done over the summer. But then I'm in the middle of moving.
Yeah.
So it's like, not good time for me.
Another shameful confession. Part of why I want to finish it is I'm really in the mood to do a different version.
You have to finish what you already have on your plate.
Fun fact, I cannot finish anything to save my life. And I think that's part of why I also like creating collections for me, and like why I curated it the way I did, was it is a driving thing to get me to finish something. And I think it goes back to what initially sparked it, was the satisfaction that I got from watching those Kill a Kit videos of people just obliterating product and getting creative with it.
You messaged me the other day and said, I've done, I don't know, like 10 tasks and none of them are complete. And I was like, I can tell you why. But I think that is part of it, is that if you have ADHD, like both of us do, even though you're not willing to admit it, we go through life with unfinished projects all around us. And so having a project where we know that I am fighting through this for two reasons. One, I want to be satisfied at the end and have all of this. But two, my brain does not want to do that. And forcing myself to continue on despite my ADHD sometimes helps me in other aspects of my life as well.
Yes, which is why I can recognize that. And that's why I'm like, okay, I have to clear the decks and I need to get back into it, because I need the motivation that comes from fighting through it.
Yeah. So it's not about just beating a dead horse. It's
also, you love a good content on brand Target type of thing, and Christmas in July is a very big thing in the crafting world. So
we could knock it out but like I feel like in July is going to be when we are very much in the
but you also work ahead.
So I'm going to have to, because at some point all of this has to be packed up. All right. So for the next question, it was, have we always tried to kill a kit? So before you started with creating with collections, round one, right? Before you got this idea, were you ever able to kill a kit?
No, it was always take it out, use it, put it back, that type of thing.
Yeah. And that's how it is for me as well. Like, I am one that it's not until I get down to, layout 10 or 11, which I do have quite a few collections where I have created that. And when I do, if you follow my channel, you know that like I have a playlist for Simple Stories and Bella Boulevard. Once I get to like 5 or 6 layouts, I will then create a playlist for Bella Boulevard and that collection, right? I think like I have a playlist for Doodlebug's Easter collection, because I have so many layouts completed with that collection, and it wasn't the intent to kill it. It goes back to, I'm doing it because I love it, not because I'm trying to kill this collection. So then also, how many kits do you still have in your closet that you wish you would have killed back in the day? Have you ever thought about taking out old ones and trying to kill off the rest of it? That would be very entertaining, at least for me. Sorry, I keep saying kill, but I kind of want to know based of the Kill a Lot series.
It's killing me. One, what I have in my stash is none of your business. Okay, that's no. But you know what? I don't purge often, and I keep things that I love. I think she's really leaning into that thing that you've been doing, where you're pulling out those older ones, and I love those videos. That definitely makes me want to do similar. It just goes back to time and motivation with me, where the mood has to be like really pressing, and it is right.
Yeah. So if you do not follow my channel, which I don't understand why you wouldn't, because I have an amazing channel.
Also,
but if you don't,
hi, my name's Nicole. That one's Lisa.
Yes, we do. We have gotten that a lot. And I feel like that was one of the things that people were like in the very beginning when we weren't doing videos. They couldn't tell us apart, which I find very interesting, because I am very Southern and I feel like I have a very different dialect than you do. But
But I don't know. Every time I see a comment it says Lisa blah blah blah, I just politely say Lisa's never gonna see this because this is on my video. You got to go to her.
My channel. And I get them too. Like I'll get people who question me. And I think too, it's comes back to, since we do both post the podcast on both channels, sometimes it's hard to know which one it's, because the images are the same and everything like that, which it's going to change for season 3. So we'll get to that. But yeah, going to change the little intro for season 3.
Oh, I was like, are you going to have our names like on the on the screen?
Yeah, I'm going to change that up as well, because I think right now we just have our channel names.
I was going to say, you can put channel logos or something.
Yeah. So going back to my Shop the Room series, which that is in no way going to the wayside. I feel like now, being the full-time content creator, I have even more room to create more layouts, and the Shop the Room series is something that I absolutely love, because I do absolutely want to get through all of my collections that are on that wheel, because they're on that wheel for a reason. And I put my hands on them back in October of 2004 or 2024 when I did my room series. And at that point, I looked at it and said, yes, it needs to stay. And there was a lot of stuff that I got rid of. And so now I want to go back to it and be like, why? Why does it need to stay? And does it have a place in my room? Because I do have a ton of collections. And it comes back to, I kept it maybe because I loved it, like the Echo Park Imagine That collection, but I don't need it. I'm not having any other kids. I just have Eli. I have very little photos of him being much younger, and those have been documented. So getting that collection out of my room allows space for new collections, which also don't have space. If you guys have been following my shorts, have you seen all 3 of my If Scrapbooking Supplies Can Talk?
I did.
So
listen, nothing irritates me more than me doing a doom scroll on TikTok, and I don't like people that I know in private popping up on my feed, and every time it does it, I'm like, get out of here. I finish it. You get the view.
Yes. But the last one that I did was how the 2 new collections, which was the Bella Boulevard Love Song and Simple Stories, were not welcomed on the show because there's no room. So
I like the concept of, like, if you're going to pull out an old collection and you're going to focus on it, to me it makes sense to focus on it for more than one layout. If you're already in that mindset, you're already looking at the product, kill it. Like, yeah, get it done, get it out.
Yeah. And there's things on that wheel that I have it there because there's possibility of killing it. Like, there may be just 1 or 2 more layouts that I can get out of it, which there was like an Echo Park one that I was able to get, I think, a single page and a double page out of it. And then I called it done. And then there's other collections on that wheel, like the Simple Stories Say Cheese Tinsel Town, that I purchased and have never used. So it wasn't I want to try to kill it. It was, I also want to put my hands on it and play with it, because I purchased it for a reason. I loved it, and now I need to play with it. And so with that layout, I challenged myself not to create a Disney layout, even though it was Disney theme, and I love that layout. However, also used less than 2 inches of paper on it, just like 2 half-inch border strips on it, and a lot of photos. So it goes back to, of course, I'm not going to get rid of it, because there's still a ton of things that I can use out of that. So that Shop My Room series has a purpose for 2 different reasons. 1, to kill stuff, get it out of here, get it used up. And then 2, to actually play with stuff that I purchased that I love. But I sometimes don't always know what to scrapbook, because I have so many photos and I have so many collections. When you take away that free will of letting the wheel decide what's going to create the next layout that you're going to do, it really frees up a lot of other things. It goes back to, there's an episode of Big Bang where Sheldon says he's going to use dice for everything. The dice is going to make every decision for him, to the point like he has to roll the dice to see if he can go to the bathroom or not, because he then is going to be able to come up with like this great scientific discovery or whatever. That's how I feel. I'm not going to go to that extreme. Definitely going to go to the bathroom whenever I want.
I would, confession time, I would respin until I got something I was in the mood for. You're like, no, we're not doing that today.
We're not doing that one yet. But I feel like that has challenged me too, because there has been times where I have thought, oh, I don't want to do that. But then when I got in my room,
I will forever be so glad that I think I push your buttons in a good way, because I was like, I don't understand this strict, I must stay in a collection thing. Like, why does it matter? I'm like, just, you have access to your whole room. Like, go for it. And the few times that you've done it, I'm like, you think she likes it?
But the times that I've done it, it has been within a manufacturer. So
yeah,
especially
I feel like, yeah, you do like a 2 to 3 kind of ripples out. That, like, you don't mix themes, you don't mix brands. The NSYNC layout, I think, was the first time I'd ever seen like no sketch, no plan, no matching embellishments. I still don't know if you actually enjoyed the layout at the end.
I don't know that I love the layout because of all of those challenges, or I love the layout because, you know, I'm a diehard NSYNC fan and I just love the layout itself and the subject of the layout. So also, I want to bring this up just because we're talking about this. This question came up on my channel, and not having to do with creating with collections, but she said, does having only one shade of yellow ever frustrate you, or is it more easy to work with? 10 sheets of yellow seems to frustrate me sometimes, and maybe I need to switch brands. So she's talking about the fact that I had mentioned in the layout that I was creating, which was Bella Boulevard, I was able to bring in School is Cool, which is kind of an older collection, the Teen Vibe Carson, which is newer but still like a year old, and then I also brought in Pop Quiz, which is like super, super old, and all of the colors matched. And I will tell you that that is the absolute 100% thing that I love about Bella Boulevard and Doodlebug. Doodlebug has 24 colors. I think Bella Boulevard has 14 or 16, something like that. They don't have 24 colors. But the fact that they stay within those colors makes mixing and matching the collections so much easier. And going back to not having as many decisions to make when you're trying to figure out with all the cardstock that you're using and you have 10 shades of yellow that are just slightly different, it does become overwhelming and frustrating. And for me, takes longer to create a layout. Whereas opposed to, I know that Doodlebug has 2 sheets of yellow, 2 colors of yellow. Same with Bella Boulevard. So narrowing that options down does make creating layouts a lot easier, and you get to the fun part without having to make decisions, is what I think about it.
See, and I'm the opposite. If I'm mixing and I'm going outside of a collection, one of my favorite things to do is to go hunting for paper that is unexpectedly a perfect match. I've mixed like October Afternoon with Doodlebug. Like, you would think that those two things don't go together. I will just sit there and flip through and I will look at the backsides of things. I've pulled in Christmas that didn't make sense in another one, but you would never know. That's like one of my favorite things to do. And then I will go digging through like 6x6 pads that like maybe there's a yellow in here.
So I think going back to the creating with collection thing, in regards to that, if you do this challenge and then you start to understand the way that you like creating layouts, I think that you are going to be able to truly shop your room more, because then you're only going to have the stuff that you are wanting to use or that you're gravitated towards, right? So it makes shopping your room a lot easier if you just have
it
the stuff
also
that you
makes
love.
New releases less tempting.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna have to shotgun the end of this pretty quick.
Yeah, because we're at 2 hours right now. Okay, so let's see. Real quick, what do you do with the leftovers?
If I'm gonna keep it, like I said, it goes in that scrap bin. If I'm gonna keep embellishments, they go in a leftover binder. I can't see what girl, you're small. What do you got over there? Oh yeah,
The trash can.
It's my best friend right there. Bye.
Yeah. It's really okay. I am absolutely okay with letting things go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. The color binders go first. Obviously the embellishments that I think I'm going to use, but I am really okay with just tossing them. Especially if it's small
Mm-hmm.
I have so much. We all have so much.
It's okay. I promise you'll find something else next time.
Right, exactly. So this is a question that I think that this has got to be a person who doesn't follow our channels because we both do this. So Carolyn said, I recently obtained a few collection and I'm overwhelmed with the bits and pieces stuffed in baggies. How do you sort and how do you handle all of them? Do you take the time to put them all on magnetic sheets and store them with the paper collections? I know the baggie method is not working for me, and I doubt any kind of boxes would either.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Just take some cheap adhesive, stick it down to some cardstock, keep it with paper. Because you can also see it all at one point. So, like, to me, it definitely speeds up. You're not digging through the pile every time.
Yeah. And when I do mine, so I put mine on page protectors and I have a video for it and I'll link it in the show notes, but it's twofold. One, you can see everything. And then two, when I'm putting them on there, especially those collections that are like the Carson Teen Vibe collection from Bella Boulevard, there was so much teen stuff to it that I was able to separate. Like, here's all of the workout stuff, and here's all the food stuff and the driving stuff. And so not only am I able to see everything, I'm able to group everything together. So then I know when I'm working on a layout, if it's a layout about him driving, I'm going to gravitate towards that first because those embellishments are there.
Yeah,
and they lay flat.
We both did it with the Doodlebug Christmas one, and you were like aggressively annoyed with me. You were like, you organized yours wrong. And I was like, what do you mean? I just put it on the paper.
Yeah, because you didn't like group them together.
It made sense to my brain and my hunting process. Your hunting process is different.
Yeah. Plus it also lays flat. So if you are using like the 12 by 12 bags to keep your supplies in, they're going to be thinner because you now are using the entire space as opposed to it all being bunched together at the bottom. All right. So Carrie says no questions, but she would like to say that she loves Creating with Collection series. And you are great with thinking outside the box and getting some of those pieces used that I would normally ignore and tuck them away forever. So I think that is something that you have kind of shine through with this, is that.
And it all stems from, I don't like this. How can I fix it?
Yeah. So tucking it away so you only see parts of it.
Yeah.
Makes it's on there and you get to use it and it's on a layout and in your albums and not in your room. So Gail says, do you have go-to types of layouts in mind, like a 2-pager with scene building or backing a cut file or using a sketch? I would like to think that without some sort of plan, looking at a new collection and figuring out where to start could be a little overwhelming, which you kind of touched on that with, you did plan out Easter, right?
Yes.
Volume 2.
I knew going into this Doodlebug one, like I could identify right off the bat just from sorting the die cuts what I was going to have issues with. And I actually started intentionally with, there was a pattern paper I didn't love, and there was large circles that I didn't love. So my solution to that was get it out of the way first. And what I ended up doing was I hunted for sketches that had large circles. And that solved that for me. I mixed in papers I did like, and I mixed in some other elements that I liked, and it kind of checked a bunch of different boxes. You definitely scene building to me as a way to get rid of a lot of stuff. And yeah, Creating with Collections is one of those things where you heavily find yourself leaning into either sketches or design elements that you know that you enjoy and you know work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that having that plan is really important. The collection that I just got, the Simple Stories one, like Happiest Place, I think is what it's called. I haven't had the opportunity to sit in that collection and create with that, but that is my plan, is to go through it and find sketches that are going to work for the photos that I have, and having that plan before I start to cut into it, because I do want to do an entire vacation with that collection, and that's going to be a lot, because in not doing like a Creative with Collections, I'm not trying to kill it, but I just love everything about it. I don't think there's a single piece of paper or embellishment in that collection that I don't 100% love. And so it's going to be one of those things that I don't want to put it away.
I feel
want
like
to use it.
I said that about Hip Hop Hooray, and then like 15 layouts in, I was like,
yeah, so we'll see how it goes when I'm at the end of it. But it was also, I want to document my Disneyland.
You also purchased it with, I know you're not telling anybody until you decide if you're going to execute it or not. You like purchased it with a very specific intention.
Yeah. So, and it's one of those things that it's sitting there because my life right now is so up in the air with buying a house and moving, and I don't want to get it started and then not be able to finish it, because it's going to be one that I want to like start and then finish from start to finish. All right. So Cindy asked, do you use it for a series of layouts with the same event, or pull pictures from different events? Which I think we've answered.
Yeah, both. It's easier for me personally to start with an event and then kind of circle the wagons at the end, figure out what's left and what else can I do. And a lot of times that's going to be like one-off stuff.
Yeah. So I do think that creating collections is a little bit easier if you have a large event to start out with, right?
Yeah,
so
like
you can...
a vacation or a cruise to me is like peak material to kill a kit.
Yeah, because then you can at least, even if you only get 6 or 7, 8 layouts out of it, that's a good chunk of it from one event. And you have the accomplishment of saying, I finished this event, whatever that event is.
That's the other part of it.
All right. So Miss Maxwell says the goal with creating with the collections, she's going to assume that it is to get as many layouts as possible using one collection, thinking outside of the box to maximize your paper selections. Do you go looking for new sketches to let you use smaller paper pieces, or do you minimize layout expectations? She says her favorite is when you use the double page with the tags dies at the top, which is everyone's favorite. You should definitely scrap lift yourself on that sketch for this holiday collection. Maybe go back and pick a few of your favorite layouts that you've done and scrap lift yourself when you are in the mood. And put some Christmas music on. So I think she's trying to tell you, here's some ways to get you in the mood, to get you going again. Maybe scrap lift yourself.
This is what we call foot on my butt. And I love it. Yeah, she definitely nailed it in the beginning of like the core, concept of the series. Yeah, new sketches is something that I heavily rely on if I'm like bored. Sometimes that'll spark something. And definitely as I'm getting more scraps and less large pieces, that definitely changes my hunting. Like I start looking at things a little bit differently. I almost purposely didn't finish the pattern play class, and it's just sort of always on the back of my mind when I'm working on stuff where I'm like, there's a lot of scraps, and I think, let me go look at pattern play because I never finished that class, and it's kind of perfect for that. Scrap lifting myself was something I hadn't thought about. That tag layout, listen, I don't go back to that ever again.
It's one of those things that is loved by the masses, but not so much by you.
I have another idea of how I think I can do the same satisfactory usage of things, but visually different. If you took my scene building class, you could probably guess what I'm going to try to do.
Okay. All right. Cindy says, do you pull all of your pictures at one time or a bunch of them to kill it, since you already have everything out? So how many photos do you plan out? So you did your family set, right? We told that was like 8 layouts. But when you went back, how many are you planning out at that time?
Oh,
your
like
second
one.
Oh, so you're not planning out a bunch?
Well, the 3 that are like in various stages of starting, I did shotgun those. I planned because when you were like, I already did my 3, and I was like, okay, great. I figured like I found 3 Christmas things that I wanted to do, found 3 sketches, matched them, edited the photos at the same time, printed them at the same time, and essentially started building all 3 layouts at the same time. I don't recommend that, but yeah, typically. I would say typically I am not smart and I just work on one at a time because each layout really changes how I'm thinking, what I'm in the mood for, because I've either used up something or I'm staring at a giant circle that I'm like, we got to get this out of the way. And it changes my starting point. We've talked about this before where I don't have, like, you're very regimented where it's photos, sketch, collection, put it together. I can sometimes start with enamel dots. I can start with a photo. I can start with a sketch. I can start with a class. I can start with a strip of paper. Like, it's a different starting point for me. So it makes more sense for me to just do them one at a time.
Yeah. And so for me, what I have done so far is I have planned out probably anywhere from 3 to 5. Like the first round, I knocked out 5, had them all planned and everything, and then did 3 after that. So I thought that my thought process in regards to like the next set would be to look at the paper and see what's left and then try to find sketches that work for that. And then I'm doing the same year of Christmas. So my photos are kind of already planned out for me, but it's more of like, okay, here's what's left. Like those big, large circle pieces that you've already used. I still have quite a few of those left. So I thought, well, the same thing that you did was let me go see if I can find a circle sketch that will work so I can use those large circle pieces. And then from there, trying to find photos that would match that sketch so that I can use up those pieces. So that was my plan. Was the first 5 was I'm going to focus on just the things that I love about the collection, things that I want to use, knock those out really quickly. The next 3 were kind of wrapping up those sets of things because I did like Eli's Christmas presents, and so the next 3 were like my Christmas presents, my mom's and my sister's Christmas presents, and Nevaeh's. So like kind of knocking those out because I had already knocked out Eli's. That was that set, and then the next one's going to be.
I will say one of the things that I've learned along the way. So like when I open my box and I'm getting ready to start a new layout, and I'm like 9 times out of 10 I'm using a sketch, and I'm like, okay, I need this for this, I need this size for this. I really try to pull from paper I've already cut first, because I've learned that if I just go free for all and I pick the paper that I love the most and I'm cutting into full sheets and this and that, at the end, for my process, it sucks because there's just chewed up stuff everywhere. So I'm not trying to necessarily use stuff up in order, but I do try to go to my scraps first. And I've also been trying to go to that 6x6 pad first, because I also recognize that I'm hoarding some stuff, which that's another indicator of you got to rip the Band-Aid off and you have to use it.
And I do that without creating with collections. Like when I'm pulling out, especially like the month-end review layouts, the one that's going to go up this month, I even say it in there that I don't know why I went to the full-size paper, because I have a ton of scraps over here. And if I can pull it, maybe it's not my favorite piece, but if there's only like a 1/2 inch left, let me just knock it out. And then
you get that like dopamine hit. It's gone. It's done.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. So I'm the type of person that like, I'm not going to get rid of my scraps until I'm like completely done, because I think you've said it before. You never know. That little tiny 2x2 square, you might be able to die cut, or you might be able to tuck it in and, have that extra color or whatever on your layout. So I'm always going to keep all of my scraps until I'm done with the collection.
I don't even get rid of the branding strips until I'm done.
Yeah. Especially with Doodlebug's Simple Stories does it as well. They have the pattern on the branding strip.
It's small though.
Yeah, but it's perfect for little tiny stars and hearts and things like that. So like to die cut the smaller pieces, those branding strips are perfect for it. And the Doodlebug's branding strips is the same color. So there's times where I have pulled out a branding strip and cut between the wording on there to get the solid.
The branding strips I've been saving to cut tiny pieces of red stuff because there's no red. Tell me why there's no red in this collection.
There's very little, yeah. It's definitely not a prominent color. All right. So Andrea says, I really enjoy the series and I'm happy that there will be a summer focus. I do want to say that we never said there was going to be a summer focus.
I may have replied to her somewhere.
Oh, okay. I would love for you to create your own collection. If you could, what would your theme be and what would your collections contain? Have you ever made your own collection from your stash?
No, I thought we answered that already. I don't know I feel like if I designed a collection, it would be so boring because it would just be like wood grain, ledger, and then a rainbow assortment of different B-sides, like not a single repeated one, and then like some really basic stuff with maybe like a calendar element thrown in. That's boring.
So do you think that you would love creating a month in review collection?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Hire me.
Yeah. I think that for me, like I would love to create collections. Again, it goes back to I don't have the mindset to be able to do it. But one of the things that like I would love to see is a collection that is focused more on like very specific themes. So it would probably have to be like a mini collection. Do you know that there is I've never been able to find a collection about playing checkers.
How about cheer?
Yeah. Cheer too.
I need cheer bad.
Yeah.
Every time I eke out a layout with like random stuff, I ask people in the video, if you know a digital collection that is cheer themed, please link it below. Please tell me. Please send it to me.
That scene building one that you did with the dies, the blue one.
Yes. I love that one.
I'll post it in the show notes too. But that was a really good one. I think that you did really well.
That was basic stuff. I recently rewatched that video. I don't even know why. And I was laughing because I spent a good couple minutes of that video looking for a strip of paper, not realizing that I had used it because I had flipped it over and I didn't notice. So the whole time I thought I had two of them to put on the other side, and I had to do an emergency Amazon purchase of an entire pack of paper.
Yeah. I think because it was either Doodlebug or Bella Boulevard.
It's like Doodlebug, yeah.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I've said. Like I actually sent something to Doodlebug. I was like, I love that your petite prints, gorgeous. I love the fact that you offer all of the patterns in all 24 colors. However, I would like a pack of, it doesn't have to be a large pack. It can be like 10 pieces.
10. Give me 10.
Yeah. Of
the same pattern, the same color, because
I don't want the same pattern, same color. I want the same color in all of the patterns.
You want every iteration of patterns in swimming pool curated into a mini collection. Yes, let's do that. I want that.
Yes, because there's times where, I mean, there's certain colors that I love, right? Swimming pool being one of them. And so I would love to have a bunch of swimming pool because I use it all. And then there's other colors that not so much, right? And I'm sure that that's true for everybody. Of those 24 colors, we all have our favorites. And so having all of the patterns in one color, I'd be all for it. Because I can purchase the 25 pack. I mean, it's expensive, but you can, if you wanted 25 sheets of swimming pool in grid, you can purchase that. All right, so let's see. Melissa says, no questions. Just excited to follow along and get some scrappy inspiration while laughing with the two of you. You both motivate me to think about scrapbooking in new ways. All good, of course. Which I feel like we get those comments a lot as well, that were really funny. And I know that you have admitted it to me and I've admitted it to you, but there are times when I watch our podcast and I'm like, this is really good. The last one that I was watching, which I was editing, and at one point I was literally laying back just watching and listening to it. And then I was like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be I was going to
say, I watch them because like you send it to me when they're done. And I like the only help I can do is like quality control. So like I listen to it then, like before it goes live. Rarely do I go back and listen to them. When I do, I'm like, we're funny. Which sounds inflated, but at the same time, I'm like,
but we're not the only one saying that. A lot of people comment that we are funny.
It could be rougher. It could be more professional. We're riding that middle territory.
Yeah, but there have been times where I have said, oh, I'm supposed to be like, putting in the chapters or making sure we have all of the links in the show notes and things like that. That's why we say it. When I say I'll link it in the show notes, it's an indication to me to be like, oh, I'm supposed to be paying attention. Yeah. All right. So last question comes from Stephanie. Would y'all consider making this into something that we participate in? Like letting the community know what collections you want to use ahead of time so that we can pull it out if we have it, and do monthly check-ins on what we've got done. I know design teams and yes years have y'all busy, but do you all ever see being bigger than a side quest, but a monthly series? Or do you always consider it just something y'all pick up throughout the year whenever you can? Either way, I love the series. It's so inspiring to see y'all kill a collection. The twist of two different designers using the same collection is eye-opening in the best way. Thanks for all your inspiration.
Okay.
Do you want to take that one?
Yes, because volume 5 is technically, I think there's some people that signed up to like do it with us, and then I just like yeeted the ball like across the world and was like, I don't know where that went. Yeah, so here's the thing though, is I don't want to run it in a sense where somebody feels pressure to buy a collection. And that's really the only way that you can have it run with multiple people participating, is you have to pick a new collection that is available so that people can buy it. And I think that closes the door on people that are either doing the spending freeze or they're budgeting or whatnot. I wasn't going to say anything, but okay, here's what I'm in the mood to do. I'm not going to tell you what collection I'm in the mood to touch, but I think if we ran it as a community type of thing, like she's saying, I can do like a monthly post in my group, I would rather see participants choose their own collection from their stash and even try to find some, like the one that I'm looking at, I have every piece of the collection and I've made one layout with it. So to me, that's a good one to bring back out. And I also, I mean, it's a little bit of a cheat, but I'm okay with it. I did a family photo session with it. So I know that I have the rest of those photos that will pair with it. So to me, it would be more beneficial for somebody wanting to experience it to take a collection that they already own and run with it and do the monthly check-in. Because to me, creating collections is such a personal challenge. You decide what you're using. You decide what your goal is. You decide when you're done. You decide what you want to get done. I don't want to tell somebody you have to go buy this collection. And then if we all have the same collection, it kind of gives you the ability to copy and scrapbook, which that's fine. But this is one of those things where you're really trying to learn your style and you're trying to learn your buying habits and you're trying to stretch your personal creativity. And that's hard to do when everybody has the same collection.
Yeah. And I think that you're right. I think it would be a good challenge to host in one of our groups where we pull out our own collection and work through it, because it is so personal. And it is one of those things that I feel like once you start to do it, you're going to learn what works for you.
Oh, anyways, what I was saying was, because my mood and my squirrel vision is I want to do this like community version of it. That's the like personal butt kick to get the Christmas one like done. Because then I want to flip and do like fall, not a fall theme, but like I want to do this like in the fall.
Yeah. And I think that that would be an amazing thing to have in your group, because it is your series, right? You started this. And I think that having a space in your group where, whether you create a album or whatever, however you manage it, there will be so much inspiration, and it will give us the opportunity to talk through the things that you like and the things that you don't. And that's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah. And I think like if I do that, I want to have it be two-sided, where people that don't create content can use the post to share and talk about stuff. And then I don't know that I necessarily want to have to deal with a hop or anything. There's things about that I don't like. And you run into some things where people are really hot and excited at the beginning, and then you're chasing them down because like their life got in the way, and that's fine. But it does affect when you're collectively trying to have a group content launch, if that makes sense. So I haven't really figured that out, although I have been considering a spreadsheet.
Rubbing off on you. It's all good. All right, guys. So we have gone over once again, and hopefully that is something that you guys are okay with, because last week or last episode, I was in the hot seat for 2 hours. This episode, Nicole's in the hot seat for 2 hours, and you guys seem to enjoy these longer episodes. So,
although I have no idea we got 9 and 10 to go. with not an idea in sight.
Which I don't. It's so fill out the Google sheet if you have thoughts. I'm sure I'll pull something from that. I say that every time. Like I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do, and then we come up with an idea. But we are do want to let you guys know that so we have 2 more episodes of this season, so episode 9 and episode 10, and then we will be taking a break over the summer, just simply because there's a lot going on with me moving, with kids being home. It just is a very different lifestyle in the summer, but we will be back in the fall. So do plan on us taking that little break. It'll probably be 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. It won't be too long. And then we will be back in the fall with lots of fun new things, probably in a new space because I will be moved in, hopefully, at that point. We'll see. But we will be back in 2 weeks with our next episode. I don't know what the topic is, but we will figure that out. If you have suggestions, leave it in the Google form below. Nicole's already got suggestions over there on her little post note.
I got it.
All right. All right. So we enjoy hanging out with you guys as always, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this episode, make sure you follow the show so you don't miss what's coming next. We're so glad you joined us today, whether you were gluing, cutting, or just avoiding your photo backlog.
Until next time,
pass the scissors.